Okay, so basically, I know you guys see Monarch Deku and you're probably laughing and you're probably thinking, yo, what's this guy on about? But pretty much, I'm here to tell you that Monarch Deku isn't as bad as he sounds. I know he might be, like, in your opinion, like the worst anniversary unit, but he isn't as bad as you guys think he is. Let's just talk about his passes in it. So, as you can see, he has the weird thing about him, he has no fixed SPA and it increases by 0.4 seconds each time in it, and it resets when attacking new enemy. So, pretty much, yeah. Let me bring something on screen. You can see it might be a lot of information. It's not my calculations, but yeah, I do trust it. But as you can see, after a certain point, so which is roughly 10 to 11 attacks, you can see he loses DPS. And his current, yeah, you can see he loses DPS. So pretty much the way to use him, and he's around like 3.6 SPA or 4 SPA. But you can go a bit more to like 4.4 SPA. But pretty much roughly with Deku, what you want to do is, let me just quickly show you guys. So yeah, let's just have him maxed out, and let's just place a test dummy, and let's place another one behind. As you can, he's targeting this one, and he's already at 0.4. As if he switches his thingy targeting on a new enemy, it resets back to 0, so then you just go back to the first one. So pretty much when you once you reach like around like 4 SPA, you want to be switching his targeting to like a random enemy in his range, and then of course switching it back to that certain enemy just to stack up the damage again. But pretty much this passive over here, for each consecutive attack on that enemy, increases damage to up to 100% in it, so 40% up to 100%. So after 5 attacks, he's doing a lot of damage, and it does do a lot. Like, you know, I have a lot of clips here where I was testing it on like different stages, and the GGX stage on like upgrade 5, was it? No, upgrade 4. On just as upgrade with 20, was it 10? It might have been 10%, or it was close to 20% damage. So roughly around this much damage. And let's say it was pretty much the same boss, was it? It was like this much HP. And you can see he just shreds him like after a bit. You let him get up here to, well, pretty much 5 attacks. So it's about, yeah, 1.6. And now from here, he's doing the same consistent damage the whole way through. You can see eventually he just shreds the boss. And what's nice about Deku is that certain TP that he has is very different from Kaguya and Katakuri. And the ways their one work, as you can see from their passive, they TP to the location of the attack. So let's say where the attack was there, they'll TP there. But Deku's one, you can see, TP'd him. The enemy left here, he TP'd the closest point to the enemy where he is at the point. So let's say enemy leaves here, he will go over here. Enemy leaves around here, he will go over there. So that's why Deku's TP is kind of nice. But there is a lot of points where this can go very downhill. And I have a few clips. Let me just bring them up right now. Give me a second. Okay, so this is the clip I'm talking about. As you can see, Deku's TP and his passive is so chopped kind of in a way. Because as I said, it's when an enemy leaves his range. So let's say an enemy is pretty much at the back and they exit his range, you're gonna TP to them, and if there's an enemy at the front that leaves the range, they're gonna TP to them, and you can see he just TPs all over the spot. That's the one bad thing about his teleport, because you can see what happened again. He's following this one, and an enemy does leave his range, because Kaguya domained, which repulsed him out of his range, and he just TP'd to them. So you can see what I mean with Deku's passive being kind of a nerf to him, in a way. But it's only on maps like this where the pathing bends a lot and it changes a lot. On a straight pathing or like a pathing with little bends and no like overlaps, he'll be perfectly fine on those. But yeah, let's just get to my actual runs. Well, let me just get back to the sandbox. Give me a second. But yeah, you saw in the last clip how his TP can be very annoying, because let's just say there's a lot of like let me just show you like here visually. So let's just say an enemy leaves here and he's following an enemy here, he'll go to there and then he'll go back there, and it happens again. He'll just keep TPing non-stop. Because it's only 2-second cooldown, it happens a lot. And let's say there's an enemy that enters his range here, and then you repulse them out with Kaguya's domain, or any repulse, he will TP to them as well, because it counts as them leaving his range, which is kind of annoying as well. It's very stupid, but that's how it is. But then also, let's say an enemy does leave his range, and of course, he does not attack that enemy for 15 seconds, he will teleport to the closest enemy. It's kind of weird, but that's just what his passive do. But in terms of his benefits, yeah, his cons, I guess, and his pros. So pros wise, he can ramp up damage very quick, and he has a map wide follow pretty much from spawn to the end, which is very useful for a lot of maps, you know. it might not seem that crazy, but I feel like in stages with like very high HP scaling very early on, that could be very like helpful just for those types of stages. But we don't have anything like that right now, so yeah, it's kind of a bummer. No way to really show it properly. I guess the negatives are if there's pathing that like has a lot of bends and overlaps, and of course pairing him with a repulse unit, it's not really the best way to use him because it might repulse the enemies out of his range, and then he's gonna follow them, and it's just gonna mess him up. And then in terms of what else he has, yeah, the fixed SPA, so it is a way they nerfed him basically because if they had him attacking on a 3 SPA all times, it would be so stupid. But yeah, you pretty much have to track an enemy after like 10 attacks, 11 attacks, you swap your targeting back to another enemy, and you just keep going like that and just cycle back to that enemy, and that's how you do it. But that's pretty much just how you play Deku. There's not much more for me to say about him. Just give him a very good verb that you have, and you can see him do crazy work. So I'll just show you some footages from some stages that I did in the Guilty EX stage, and of course I'll do one more run within the AOT EX stage, not the AOT, the Act 8, to properly show him against those bosses that you saw. The strong boss, the Malform Titan, and then that Griffith boss at the end that you saw me pretty much lose to because the TP cooked me over. So I'll pretty much just have a unit to clear those mobs just to do a bit better and just show his true damage against the boss. And Deku's true like main use cases like just mob following and I guess boss killing potential. Of course he's not as good as GS in a sense, and he's not good as Sasuke, but his follow makes him very good for that. But yeah, I'm just gonna stop yapping and let's just get into this. Okay, so of course GGX stage. And you can see we do have Griffith, and a lot of you guys are probably just gonna say, oh, use Griffith to help him, but you know, I don't understand this agenda. You're trying to use units to their full capability, so you're gonna put them in scenarios that they're good at. You don't wanna like nerf them by putting them like against like a ton of mobs where they just can't do anything. So yeah, Griffith's just there to deal with mobs and apply that little buff to him, and you will see his true damage potential against those bosses that he will eventually deal with. You will see. Yeah, in terms of what else we got Rahimi for cleanse, and we also got Smith for a little extra buff, and of course Newsman to slow the mobs and also take off the gear stacks, and of course that bubbled support for against the other bosses as well. But yeah, of course I do have a good burb on my Deku, but even then, you will see the damage he puts out against these bosses. It's kind of crazy, you know. And not even at a max upgrade, by the way. He's at a low upgrade for the most part for the early waves. And of course, when I do get him to max, no boss is gonna be surviving that. You'll see what I mean. But you can see we got a 1.12 million boss, and of course the 2.6 million gleeful disorder. So yeah, we'll see how Deku deals with them. But yeah, Deku's doing pretty decent against these mobs that have the armored stacks on them, on placement damage as well. I'm not sure the actual HP, maybe 200k HP each, which isn't too bad. But we set them to bosses, and once this eclipse is over, Deku will deal with this a lot better, of course. We do give him the 23% damage buff. We've got a few on my Smith, and you can see from here, it's about how well he deals with that boss. And you can see we do have Griffith providing a bit of support, which is the extra 40% damage. But you can see this boss gets shredded, and then we got the next boss coming up that he just deals with as well. And you can see just upgrade Thor, upgrade 4. You can see the mad work he does to this boss. You see the amount of damage he's doing. I'm sure you guys can. I'm sure you guys would actually appreciate that. And yeah, that damage is kind of nuts. And basically from here on out, there's gonna be no issues because You can see he's already at this upgrade, and the jump from the second last upgrade to the last upgrade is kind of crazy. So once we do get to that, pretty much no boss can be doing Deku. You know, Deku will just shred them. Yeah, his range is not too bad with this buff as well. Not too bad range. And his AoE, it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. But yeah, we're taking the armor stacks of this boss. And then yeah, once you'll see, once the boss is in range, 208k damage, I think Deku will just shred him easily, you'll see. You can tell by how much SP he raises, how much attacks he's actually done to that boss. That was probably no more than, was it? 7 attacks maybe? And then this boss, yeah, he's not an issue as well. And once we do have Deku maxed, that's not an issue, because once Deku fully builds a passive against a boss, at his max upgrade, he should be doing around like 1.5 million per attack. And that's without any crits. So yeah, it's kind of nuts. And yeah, I didn't need to have auto off here, it would just be me being stupid. But yeah, I didn't really need auto off. Oh yeah, Loki, so I just sped this footage up because I don't think you guys are even bothered to see the spot. And it's just me playing with all skip off, which I didn't need to do. Yeah, I'm cleansing all my other units just to make sure they don't get deleted. And yeah, of course, just watching out for these Eclipse Demons because I don't want them to be entering Deku's ranging. Don't want them to be entering Deku's range and then leaving. But yeah, the boss is here now. And so what we're doing is just taking off his armor stacks. And it's pretty much, I think, 8 hits and then it takes off. You have Deku set the bosses and you can see there's no yellow ring around the boss. So now he has no damage reduction. And yeah, we'll just see Deku put in mad work here. He's at 540k damage. But of course, the Orihime buff is not going to be constant on him, so he's going to be taking that off back to 490k damage. But yeah, Deku with overhead damage buffs is kind of nuts. But you can see we gave the damage buff from our Smith to Deku, and now he's just dealing with this boss. He's at 570k damage, you know, that's Deku with overheads goes crazy. But you can see at this point, he should be just doing his maximum damage to this boss. And each hit is doing about like 1.5 million, up to 2 million damage, you know. Per hit is crazy. And that's pretty much what Deku can do. Look, 500k DPS, EDPS. It's low-key crazy. But yeah, but that's what Deku can do, you know. He probably had a better time than some Vanguard familiar units that I've done for the GGX stage. So yeah, that's kind of crazy in itself. But yeah, Deku is pretty good, you know. And you know, I'll get into the Act 8 anniversary. Probably we'll just go through different bosses and just showing you what he does against each boss. So yeah, let's just get into this. Okay, so starting off, we're just gonna start off with the semi-weak boss, just a 2 million Gilgamesh, upgrade 3 Deku. It's just pretty easy to kill, to be honest. Yeah, I'm just gonna show you my boss clears for each of these runs. I'm not gonna really go through the whole run, 25 minutes, it's just boring. I just wanna show you guys Deku's, well, main aspect of what he will be doing in most runs. But yeah, it's just purely boss killing. See, maxed out Deku can do this to the boss. That's 1 hit, that's 2 hits, that's 3 hits. And with the 4th hit, basically just killed him off. And then of course on this boss, while being energy drained as well by the way, he's at 200k damage. He should be at like 380k damage or 400k damage. But you can see how much what he can do to this boss as well. See, he's already taken off 2 million HP off him at just 200k damage. You can see that hits 157k per hit. And it's consistent. Of course, the lucky times we do get the crit, it's going to be even more damage. But you can see how much damage he's doing to the boss. And once we do reach 3.6 SPA, you switch his attack type to reset that SPA. And then we go back to the boss and we just keep following him. And same thing, he'll just kill him off. Yes, with Deku with energy drain as well, by the way. Yeah, next up should be the Gleeful Disorder boss. Yeah, let's see this one. And yeah, you can see here, we're just taking off his armored stacks. And once we do, Deku absolutely shreds him. So let Deku build up, takes 5 attacks to build up. So pretty much from the next attack, he should be doing this full damage on this boss. You can see, look how much damage he's doing. It's pretty much taking out 1.5 million HP off each time. Yeah, 300k ticks plus the 460k crit ticks as well. And you can see he's hitting 526k EDPS. I think the highest I've seen that number was like 680k for Deku, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, this boss, yeah, again, another easy example of Deku just shredding him. And this is not even Deku following as well. The bosses are still within Deku's range. And even if they do leave his range, he's just gonna follow them, which is pretty much his main saving grace. And you see this boss has put in 2x speed. And I want you to keep this, man. Sasuke killed this boss in about like 2 minutes. And that's considering he got up to 1 million DPS. Deku's not always at his max DPS, so yeah, keep that in mind. But yeah, I did give the Salamander dagger to Deku for this one. And yeah, even on this boss he's doing crazy work as well. Pretty much for this boss I'm just slowing him as well, just to make sure he just does not get too far. Yeah, if I gave Deku even more damage, the damage master work, he would have shredded him a bit earlier as well. And you can see 300k damage consistently, plus was it 356k now? It's a lot of damage, you know, especially when you have bubbled up as well. But you can see even this boss, he's not an issue as well. I think Deku killed this boss within like 4 minutes, which isn't too bad, you know. And you know what I find funny as well? It's like he's lower than Spot in the tier list, he's lower than Rumi in the tier list. It's a lot of units. Let me see, who else is lower than? I think I have the tier list on the side of my screen. Let me see, where is it? Give me a moment. Okay, so Deku is lower than Rumi, Gilgamesh, Conquest, Kalasuba, Sid, Baiken, Spot, Frieza, Wonder, View, Jinmori, and Gojo, and all the units above him, of course. And that personally is actually so bad, in my opinion. I think Deku's much higher than a lot of these units. But yeah, you can see even this boss, he shredded him, and yeah, it was an issue as well. And bear man, the boss hasn't even left his range yet. So even if the boss left his range, he'll just be following him. Yeah, I think you can see 522k DPS. The highest number I've seen, of course, is like 680k, which is not too bad. But yeah, once you get to like 4 SPA, you can low-key go for like 1 or 2 more attacks if you want, and then reset his SPA. You don't have to reset always at 3.6 SPA. And I don't know why I was in there, but yeah, I just got out the Colossal Titan just to get rid of these little mobs below me. And the reason for this is so Deku does not TP to the Griffith and then TP back to these mobs because they're leaving his range. So it was just purely for that. But I didn't really damage this boss with the Armin nuke anyway, so it's fine. But yeah, following this boss is purely Deku's work, so yeah. I made sure to lower his range by giving him that damage buff. Of course, ideally if he had the master work, he'll be at like 540k damage, but it's fine. You can see even with this boss, it's already done like, was it 12 mil damage? 13 mil damage already? This is with now we finally of course got bubbled support on him, plus we of course got Dio slowing him a bit. I didn't want to really have Dio the whole time around because I want to see what Deku can do purely to the boss, just following him with no CC. I had a CC for somewhat, I guess, not too long, but just slightly supporting him. But if I did follow this boss with bubble the whole entire time, he would have easily got killed. You can see how much damage Deku is doing. So I could do one more attack and then reset. But yeah, reset my SP early. Yeah, that's pretty much how you use Deku, you know. You just have him following mobs or a boss, and you just reset his SPA when it's to reach like 4.4 seconds, 4 seconds, 3.6, whichever one you want. And here I did slow the boss. I didn't really need to do it because 15 mil is easily coverable in this short time span he has. Because once Deku does get 4 or 5 hits on the boss, he's doing like 1.6 million damage average per hit. You can see I think it's around now he's doing 1.6 million per hit, yeah. Which is crazy, you know. think that one was 2 mil because of crits. But you can see it was 720k DPS is what we got up to. That's the highest number we've seen him do. Or EDPS actually, effective DPS. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the stage, so yeah. And that's pretty much it for the video. It's just not trying to glaze Deku, but just trying to give a general opinion on from my own self. I don't think Deku's as bad as you guys think he is. And he definitely does not deserve to be that low on the tier list. And I'm not really incentivizing you guys to push for the Monarch on him, but if you want a fun unit, he's a fun unit to use. And for those who have Monarch, don't feel down that you have Monarch. He's not as bad as you think he is. And you've seen the display he can do against some of these mobs. And especially the bosses, you know. His main saving grace is legit is TP and of course his quick ramp up. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Deku video. Now I don't got much to say about him anymore. I'm not trying to glaze him like crazy, because he's a good unit, but he has a lot of flaws as well. And you've probably seen it in the earlier part of the video with his TP messing up. Especially in pathings like this where enemy can just leave his range so easily. But yeah, not only Deku, there's a lot of units that in the anniversary that people are looking down on. I think Kalasuba is one of them. I won't really point out Kalasuba's strong point now. If you guys do want me to make a video on them, which I don't know if I will, but if I do, there's one like unique feature about them that makes them so good. But yeah, that's it for the video. Enjoy, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.